You're 16, sweeping the floor of a short track race shop on a Saturday for free, just to stand near a car you will never get to drive. 2 decades later, you're on a headset calling the stop that decides a race, or you are selling the shop with your name over the door for $612,000. Between those two moments sits a sport where NASCAR Technical Institute charges $43,100 to teach you the trade, and where a single cup charter just sold for $40 million you will never touch. This is every level of being a race team mechanic in America, and what it costs to climb. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually work, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The home garage. You're 16. The car is a rusted out street stock somebody's uncle parked behind the shop, and you are allowed to touch it because nobody else will sweep the floor for nothing. You learn to run a die grinder. You learn what a spring rubber does. You torque a wheel because a YouTube channel told you the pattern, and the old guy who owns the place checks it and grunts, which is the closest thing to praise you will get for a year. On Saturday night, the car you helped build wins the heat, and you feel something shift. You are not getting paid. You're getting let in. You start watching qualifying tenths the way other kids watch box scores. You build a setup sheet in a spiral notebook. You find out there's a school for this, NASCAR Technical Institute up in Mooresville, North Carolina, and the tuition is $43,100, closer to $67,310 once you have to eat and sleep somewhere for a year. The old guy tells you the racing pays. He does not mention that ZipRecruiter puts the average race mechanic at $51,613. He does not mention that the hourly works out to $24.81, less than the plumber who fixed the shop toilet last week. You would not have listened anyway. Level 2. The floor. You're 19. You moved to Mooresville because that is where the teams are. A town that calls itself Race City and means it, where the guy ahead of you at the gas station rebuilds gearboxes for a living. You took the first job that called back, a sweeper and parts runner at a mid-pack shop, $18 an hour to wash transmissions and stage lug nuts and stay out of the way. The cars are beautiful. Your hands are in a parts washer. The math is the first thing that bothers you. A guy named Cole trains you. He has been on the floor 6 years, and he is tired in a specific way. Learn everything, touch nothing, take no days off, he tells you, and he is not wrong. You learn the shop runs on attrition. You learn that NASCAR Tech graduates about 56% of the kids who start, and that half this building came off that same campus, 3 miles down the road. You sweep, you label, you drive the parts van to Concord at midnight because a fabricator bent a panel wrong. You're inside the sport and outside the money at the same time. Only about 33% of the people in the building have a college degree, and it does not matter because nobody here got hired for the degree. You study chassis setup on your phone in the break room. You start coming in early to watch the fab guys run the English wheel. You ask for a tryout on the road crew, and the shop manager says maybe next year, the way people say maybe to make you go away. Level 3, the road. You're 23. They put you on an Xfinity team as a road mechanic, and the first thing that hits you is not the racing. It is the calendar. 38 weekends. You are gone Thursday to Sunday, week after week from February to November, and the people who love you learn to plan around an empty chair. You build the car at the shop all week. You load the hauler. You unload. You thrash. You qualify. You pit. You tear it down. You load it again. You come home. You start over. The base salary reads fine on paper, around $51,613, until you divide it by the hours and the miles and the lost Sundays, and it turns into something close to nothing. You want to go over the wall. That is where the money is. $1,500 a race for a tire changer, $3,000 for a jackman, real money stacked across 38 stops. So you train for it. And you find out the job is already gone. NASCAR figured out years ago that athletes do it better than mechanics. So the over-the-wall spots run through combines now. The same as the NFL, ex-college football players recruited off campus and timed with speed ladders. One of the front changers on a cup car won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. You did 25 push-ups and 100 jump rope singles at a tryout. And a 23-year-old who ran a 4.540 took the spot. A guy named Travis, you came up with quits that winter and takes a parts counter job for hourly pay and weekends at home. He texts you a photo from his daughter's birthday, a Saturday, a thing you have not seen in 3 years. You stare at it for a while. Then the team owner hands you the bill for your own gear because the good tools are on you. And a built-out road box runs past $11,000 before you buy a single specialty tool the cars actually require. The math works the week you flag a clean stop and the car runs fifth. Then it does not. The week the engine lets go on lap 4 and the whole trip was for nothing. Then it does again, somewhere outside Bristol, when the crew chief points at you in the debrief and says, "Good catch on the toe." This is the pattern of the sport. You learn what a DNF does to a paycheck. You learn that the hauler is a second home you never asked for. You learn that the pit crew guys, who do make it clear around $86,421, and that the number sounds like a fortune right up until you count what it costs to earn the chance. Level 4. The Cup Garage. You're 28. You did not become an athlete, so you became indispensable a different way. You can build a car nobody else in the shop can build, and that puts you on a cup team as a car chief, the man under the crew chief who makes the thing legal and fast and ready to roll through inspection. The pay finally looks like a career, well north of where the road crew sat, with the better mechanics clearing 6 figures once the per race money and the win bonuses stack up. You wear the credential. You walk the garage at Daytona like you belong there. Because you do. Inspection opens at dawn, and the line does not care that you are under the car until 2 in the morning. A car comes off the truck handling like a shopping cart, and 3 engineers and a wind tunnel model cannot find it. You find it. A tweaked trailing arm mount, a 1/16 of an inch, a thing you feel with a straight edge and your thumb before anyone else is awake. The car runs second on Sunday, and nobody at the counter knows your name. You learn the gap is structural, not personal. The team collects $141,000 in base money every single event, just for holding a charter $5.358 million across the season before a sponsor signs a thing, and you see a sliver of it. The owner runs a budget Denny Hamlin once put at $18 million just to be competitive, and your cut of that $18 million is a salary, a per diem, and a hotel with a breakfast that closes too early. The data system you live inside costs more than your first car. The specialty tools keep coming, and they keep being your problem. You build the fastest thing in the building. On the spreadsheet, you are a line item filed under labor. Level 5, the box. You're 35. They make you a crew chief, which means you stop building the car and start betting it every Sunday on national television with a clock running and a driver in your ear who blames you first. The money is real now in a way it has never been. The range runs from $200,000 to $1 million depending on the team and the results, with a base near $500,000 at the top shops, plus around $10,000 a race and $2,500 every time the car wins. A lawsuit once pried one of these contracts open and showed a crew chief base of about $110,000, which tells you the floor and the ceiling in this job sit on different planets. You call a 2-tire stop with 11 laps left, and you are either a genius or unemployed by Tuesday. You read tire wear and fuel windows the way you used to read a straight edge. You own the car at inspection, which means when a height stick comes up an 1/8 low after a win, NASCAR does not suspend the fabricator, and it does not suspend the owner. It suspends you. You lose the trophy on a Wednesday in a conference room you were not invited to. A crew chief named Earl, who has called 400 races, buys you a coffee at the airport and tells you the part nobody prints. The sport takes the best 15 years of your body and your marriage, and it does not send a card when it is done. He has 3 trophies, 2 divorces, and a knee that will not bend in the cold, and he says all of it like a weather report. You think about it the whole drive home. The box gives you everything the floor never could, and it charges a kind of rent the floor never asked for. One day, on a schedule you do not get to pick, it hands the headset to somebody younger and faster and asks if you would mind training him first. Level 6, the owner. You're 44. Your back tells you before your boss does. So you take the money you save sleeping in hotels and you buy a small fab shop off a retiring builder in Mooresville, the same 3-mile stretch where you started, and you put your name over the door. The first Monday, you walk in as the owner, you fix the air compressor, answer 4 emails, and do not pick up a single tool. You do not build cars all day anymore. You run a business that builds them. You manage 2 fabricators and a machinist. You quote chassis, work for short track racers and regional teams. You chase parts vendors and liability insurance, and the customer who wants a championship car on a Saturday night budget. You learn to read a profit and loss statement the way you used to read tire temps. You learn that the loaded cost of a fabricator eats your margin alive if the bay sits empty for a week. You bid jobs against the shop down the road. You find out the same charter you could never afford to touch still sells for tens of millions to men who never turned a wrench. That one went for $40 million while you were asleep in a Hampton Inn outside Talladega. And you find out you do not care about that the way you thought you would. The cars you build still run. Your name is on the door. The math is finally yours. You're 58. The buyer is 31. A fabricator with quick hands and a wife who keeps his books, and he is putting money down on the same building you bought 14 years ago. You shake his hand in the office, where the coffee machine still runs weak. You walk the shop one last time. The English wheel is the same English wheel. The chassis, jig in the back corner, is the one you bought used the first month. Still true, still earning. There is a kid sweeping the floor near it. 16 years old, there for free on a Saturday, because nobody else will do it for nothing. He is staging lug nuts in neat little rows. He does not look up when you pass. He does not know you. He does not know that the man selling the building started exactly where he is standing, with a broom and a street stock and a YouTube video about a torque pattern. The check clears on a Tuesday, $612,000. Plus the 14 years of owner draw stacked behind it, plus the house, plus the truck, plus the knee surgery in 2021, plus the marriage that somehow survived 300 Sundays away from home, plus the marriage of a guy you came up with that did not survive a single season. The sport burns through crews the way it burns through tires, and the road takes most of them young, and the kid in the back does not know any of that yet. He thinks he is early. You kept showing up. That was the whole trick. There was never another one. The kid sets the broom down and reaches for the next box of lug nuts, and his Saturday is just getting started. You drive home. The house is paid off. The shop has somebody else's name going up over the door by Friday. You do not own a single torque wrench anymore.